cabbage, radish, hasn't germed yet. Made these out of just junk. But out here where it's constantly blowing, cold frame's the way to go. So everything's organic. The only thing I do is put an inoculant in the soil. Of course, I got an amendment on top of this kind of thing from the sawmill, but the secret to organic growing is fungus. And so I inoculate it with mycorrhiza, endo and ecto, mycelia. And then a lot of this wood coming from this wood pulp coming from the sawmill, already full of mycorrhiza. And you can tell when it's growing because it's just, everything's white. So that's my version of a cold box. And then a well around these cottonwoods. And it's full of winter squash, cucumbers, that kind of thing. Everything's really late. These pole beans have been in there for a long time, and they're just barely starting to take off. We're barely getting the ground overnight up over like 56, 57, 58 degrees. So, not much of a summer. Some of these summer squash are up. There's the kitchen garden. I just got started on this in February and started a YouTube channel that shows all these little kitchen gardens that I'm building in other people's yards, and then just networking them together to supply my CSAs. So I pay anybody to grow. I'll come in, install this kind of infrastructure with them. We're dumpster divers, and collecting old wood and just putting it together real fast, and then putting the soil in and planting it. So I'll pay anybody cash to grow and teach them how to do it. So my idea with organic growing is going away from conventional growing altogether. It's just like lots and lots of small grows everywhere. And at the end of the winter, or the end of the summer, or during the winter, I'm just going to put a poly lens on those cold boxes. And I got them all the way around the house, so they can just chill with cabbage, and all the brassicas can freeze, you know, cabbage, that kind of thing. Instead of having a cellar, we just leave it outside in the cold frame under a poly, like 5/8 thick Solex lens. So it stores best actually in the ground. I got carrots in the ground from the previous year all the time. As long as they don't freeze, they'll stay good. So I take every available little nook and cranny and space that's available. And I grow sunflowers as a natural wind barrier and a hedge, and it's also a soil fix. It's a nitro builder. So, just goes back in the soil. Yeah, I'm sitting on 10 acres here, and I'm just getting ready to take this field out here, the first front of the 5 acres of this 10, and put commercial caterpillar tunnels on it and go into high production. taking some investors myself. Yeah. The sunflower is a magical plant. Grows on almost nothing. Builds these huge stalks, and then when these dry, you crack into them, it's nothing but foam, like vermiculite. It will hold water, so I crush it, grind it, and put it into my rows, my compost rows, which are just mini Helga rows, little compost rows, and then they grow right into them. So there's a Helga row just like that around the perimeter on this kitchen garden. And these are just chock full. I got 5 or 6 crops in every box. There's 9 boxes here. Real short walkways. 38, 36 wide boxes, 30 feet long. And it's surprising in a compact area how much you can grow if you multi-layer, and then also plant on top of things in a sequence where you got stuff coming up in layers. But this little teeny mound right here, if you can see it, is underneath it, the core of it, inside of there. Underneath all this mulch is wood. So this is what you get from the sawmill. It's full of mycelia. So it's really a benefit to have a sawmill close and to be able to find that kind of resources out of sight for building soil. Everything right now is just getting ready to take off, and by the end of August, this thing's going to be under full production. That's really where we're going to take pictures of it and film it, because there was nothing here in February, nothing. And so I came in, established the kitchen garden, built the rows. I'm in at less than $1,000, seed, everything included. And this kitchen garden will produce 8,000–9,000 pounds of produce to add into my CSA drops. A little cabbage plant right there, or else broccoli. So there's a lot of different things that grow herbs. This is borage. It's tango celery. It's an organic celery. A lot of dill. So screens and hoops. And just letting these tomatoes bush. I got another garden with tomatoes trellised up. And I get a 17-foot tall tomato by the end of the season. They grow fast once you get them up and going and the root established. So I grow a lot of things, and I tight jam them together. But the focus is on the soil, and then keeping it moist, and then also having the mycelia, this fungus in there is just key, because that's a secondary root system, and a secondary root system that mines elements, and then a small philia enters into the roots of your tomatoes, whatever, and pumps those micronutrients into the roots of your plants. And so that right there is nature's way of doing it. If you go and take a look at the forest floor, that's what's happening. It's why those trees never need any of man's hands, because they got that big, deep forest floor. This is blue Scottish kale. That is the best kale, I think, and I always pick it about that size. So it's really flavorful. It's nice growing under row covers because there's just a lot less bug pressure, and it also keeps the row from dehydrating so quickly. It slows the wind down, kind of creates a little greenhouse effect. And some celery, some of that tango putting on seed. So anyway, hundreds of these little kitchen gardens networked. And then I do farm leases on people's backyards. We do thirds. But most market gardeners or urban farmers are downsizing to maybe 2 acres tops and 5 big commercial houses, maybe 7, 8, 12,000 feet under greenhouse. And they're making close to, 300,000-400,000 a year, and they're able to run it all pretty much by themselves. A family could run it, and we have a family of 4 adults here, and we run everything from the CSAs to the deliveries to the building the grows to maintaining, harvesting, packaging, all that by ourselves. So it's a family business. We literally don't have any employees, don't use any pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers of any type, no chemicals, period. And most of the wood, like this is sheeting, ripped down to 8 inches and put together for some strength, overlapped. Just house sheeting that we picked up off of construction sites that were just going to get thrown away, and it works just fine. And then the mantle wires is 9 gauge, 72 inches, and then the screen is relatively cheap. So this is a pretty cost-effective system for growing mass quantities of food. Plus, we're really kind of seeing that we're going to need to grow seed, so we just let it happen. This is a beet or chard that's just putting on tons of seed. And just one plant can give you ounces and ounces and ounces of seed. So I've got 5 buckets of seeds, all kinds. So it's a very highly productive space.